We welcome all the participants to the second session of today, the second day of the conference, but it is the first panel discussion. And as we shared yesterday, that one of the themes of the panel of the conference was learning in the post-pandemic classroom. So this is a panel discussion on recovery and resumption of mathematics learning in a post-pandemic classroom. And this will be chaired by Professor Bhaba Sarma of IIT Guwahati and Professor Ambar Habib of Shiv Nadar University. So I will request them to take over from here and introduce our panelists. Over to you, Ambar.
Thank you, Jonaki. So welcome all of you, all the audience. So this is the first panel discussion. As Jonaki has said, and it is announced, the theme is recovery and resumption of mathematics learning in a post-pandemic classroom. You may recall yesterday during the inauguration program, Professor Ramanujan spelled out something. So he said that this MTA is a platform for teachers.
I can't hear.
Yes.
Rest of us can hear.
Yeah.
So can you check at your end, please? Yeah, go ahead, Baba.
Yeah.
No, the sound is coming through.
So MTA is a platform for teachers to share their ideas and experiences and to discuss the problems and challenges they are facing and how they are trying to negotiate with them. So as we all know, the pandemic and the resulting lockdown have long-lasting adverse effects on teaching learning process. As we move to the normal offline classroom, both students and teachers seem to be struggling, not only to recover from the learning loss during the past 2 years, but also to resume the vibrant interactive learning if it was there in the classroom. So it has perhaps serious impact on students' ability to negotiate the regular classroom itself. So in this session, what we planned, what we wanted to have to use this platform to share our experiences, especially, on these areas, the difficulties, challenges of offline classes after a long period of online mode, effective mechanism that will help students and teachers to cope up with the challenges, the resources that will help the teachers to ensure equitable access for learners, any role of digital technology as we resume the offline instructions. So we have invited a few teachers. We may not, so these are teachers from different backgrounds, from schools, from colleges, and also one is from university. They come from different geographical backgrounds, geographical regions. So, and of course, as the institutions, that their categories are diverse, okay, their geographical, economical, okay, structural, all these are, we have a lot of diversity, we have a lot of inequality as well. So the effect of the pandemic, that itself, okay, it has diverse effect on the entire teaching learning process. So we have some representations of teachers and they will be initiating the discussion. So what we plan, that they will have brief discussions, they will share their experiences, and then, because most of us, we are teachers, so we'd like to hear, we'd like to see, we share our experiences and how we are handling these challenges. So the panelists, let me briefly tell. So we have Mr. J. Gopal Rao. He is from West Bengal. He is from St. Joseph School, Kharagpur. We have Mr. Shashwat Tewari, he is from Vidyagyan School, UP. We have Dr. Priyambada Tripathi, she is an assistant professor in Dyal Singh College, Delhi University. We have Dr. Arundhati Mech, she is an associate professor from Birjhora Mahavidyalaya, Bangaigaon, Assam. We have Dr. Shouvik Bhattacharjee, so he is an associate professor in Tripura University, Agartala, Tripura. So they will have brief presentations or brief, so they'll share their experiences and this thing briefly. And in the meantime, what I would ask the audience, because all of us, we have experiences, and we know that all of us, we have something or other to share and to speak. So what I will request the audience, if you have comments or if you would like to speak on some topic, not necessarily on the points what is being spelled out by the speakers, panelists, in general, if you have comments, please write on the chat box so that we can take it up and we can invite you to speak later. So I would like this discussion to be started with J. Gopal Rao. He is from Kharagpur, West Bengal. He's a school teacher. Yes, Mr. Rao.
Yes, a very good morning, Baba sir and Amber sir and all the professors out there and fellow panelists and all the participants. So we all are here today to discuss about recovery and resumption of mathematics learning in post-pandemic classroom. Before coming to the discussion on post-pandemic classroom, I would like to share some of the problems during the pandemic time. In our society, we have diverse kind of schools and the situations in them are different too. So we have schools run by central governments, state government, private bodies, and missionary organizations. The nationwide report says that there had been high learning loss among children across grades in schools, especially in mathematics. As per my observation, the students of state government schools have encountered a great loss. It was because in these schools, students come from poor financial background. They are also from remote locations having less access to modern gadgets. These schools remained closed for nearly about 1 year without any teaching and learning process. Further, the students had to be promoted to the next class without any learning. Therefore, we can imagine how the students' understanding would be in the post-pandemic classrooms. However, these young minds have enormous potential in them if there is a fresh approach towards critical thinking. But some of the organizations somehow tried to manage with different modes and strategies to overcome the situation. They made WhatsApp groups, they conducted online classes, reduced the chapters which may be learned later in the situation when the situation normalizes. They tried to assess the students' understanding through MCQ-based pattern. But this was the only one side, that is the teacher's part. And the other side suffered a lot, that is the learning part by the students. Firstly, the problem the student faced was to cope up with the virtual classroom, working in different applications. Even though they tried, still it was far from any efficiency because everything was new to them and everything was passive. Secondly, many students did not have any gadgets to attend online classes. If they had one mobile set, more than one child from the same family need to attend different classes. Then they suffered because when one of them is attending, the other has to miss the classes. Overall, the students' learning part has suffered more than the teaching by the teachers. The learning loss had continued even after their coming back to the school. And today we are here to discuss how to recover this loss. Now, there are various strategies to overcome this loss, like schools can have play-based early childhood educational curriculums for positive impact on learning. This also supports positive transitions to the primary children to encounter positive emotions towards school, which are crucial for learning, so that along with learning, they could become physically and psychologically strong. And then coming to the high school students, there may be some financial loss after pandemic whose parents lost their earnings. For them, there can be some well-designed incentive programs and scholarships that can impact their learning, because at first they should have the psychological balance. Then they will be able to concentrate on learning and they can connect with the learning. Next thing which schools should focus on is their ICT education. They should arrange orientation programs regularly for both teachers and students to develop their digital skills. Because these days, maths learning had developed so much that we should have some technical idea to study graphical representation. And to overcome the pre-academic loss, they can have some effective strategies for addressing the learning crisis, like taking weekend classes, and also they can arrange specialized mathematics training camps at some centered located schools that should be open for all the students to the nearby schools. Because good practices emanating from such programs will enhance their maths learning. Now, also the teachers have to enhance their traditional passive teaching with some creative and innovative ways, which will act as a bridge to a brighter tomorrow. Overall, I would say that we need to keep and encouraging them and to keep them in our monitor. Looking at all these post-pandemic educational problems, few frameworks have been introduced by profound bodies. One of them has been given by UNESCO. It is the framework called RAPID framework, where the R for reach, that is to reach every child and keep them in school. Next is A. A is to assess them regularly at different levels. And then P for prioritize, that is to prioritize the teaching, the fundamentals. Again, I for increase, that is to increase efficiency of instruction, including catch-up learnings, which includes digital skills of teaching, expansion of instructional times, enhancing learning with technology. And D for develop, the psychological health and well-being. This includes building of teachers' capacity to support their students and to identify students in the need of special service. So this is what I wanted to share. And thank you so much for giving me this platform to express myself what is actually going on in school level. And we need to have some special kind of training camps for mathematics, because most of the preschool students, those who have spent their classes at home by doing virtual classes, they are very much affected. So thank you so much. Thank you so much, MTA, for allowing me to express my thoughts.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Gopal Rao.
Thank you.
Yeah, I now call upon Mr. Shashwat Tewari. So he is from Vidyagyan School, Uttar Pradesh. Yeah, Mr. Tewari.
Hello, sir. Am I audible?
Yeah, sure.
I just want to share my screen. May I share that? Yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
you can.
Thank you. Okay, I hope that's visible to everybody.
Yes, it is.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's visible.
Great. So I think these two phrases, especially my colleagues who are school level teachers would agree that am I audible and is my screen visible or is my answer visible? These are very common phrases that we as school teachers we used to hear from our students, especially from those who are not willing to answer during the pandemic sessions. They were not willing to answer, they were not prepared to answer, so they use these phrases very commonly. Is my answer visible in the chat box, sir? I'm writing the answer, but my answer is not visible. So with this, my hearty greetings. Good morning to all the distinguished members of the association, respected panelists and other guests. Today, I'll be sharing my views and my experiences on recovery and resumption of mathematics learning in post-pandemic classroom. I'm Shashwat Tewari, mathematics facilitator from Vidyagyan School, Bulandshahr in Uttar Pradesh. And just I'll brief one line about our organization. So Vidyagyan School is, at Vidyagyan School, we provide learning environment to the students who are who are meritorious and they are from economically weaker section. They are from rural areas. So here we provide learning opportunities to them who were actually deprived of proper access to education and other opportunities in their own villages and areas. So first we'll talk about the different challenges that we face as teachers. As we all know that in the post-pandemic era, this corona pandemic has adversely affected almost every sphere of our life, which includes loss of our normal routine, the reduced social contacts, and maybe economic impact also up to some extent. So in that post-pandemic era, the one area that is very particularly hit is our education sector. As teachers, we feel that this is the area which is hit the most. In the education sector, what happened that in the pre-pandemic era, there were various reasons for not considering a particular content to be covered. So actually, at present, where our learners are, there is a huge gap between their present, what they are, where they are now, and where we expected them to be. There are various reasons for that. I feel that the main reason is lack of motivation, which was there when we were face to face, when we were interacting in our classrooms. But once they are in the online mode, maybe every child is not having an elder sibling at home, or their parents are not able to guide them, or they are not able to devote that much time with the students. So lack of motivation for self-study is something which was missing during the era, and which has the after effects now. Many students have also revealed that during the online classes, they when a question was put up, or even when they were being tested, they use technology as the spoon feeding. So if they are trying to solve a question or a problem, so instead of putting into some efforts, if they are not able to get it, they just Google the solution and then they got a ready-made solutions. So they were using technology as a spoon feeding for their own. Also, there was a reason that in the online mode, they were hesitant to raise their queries. Maybe they feel that, oh, my question may go wrong, or what the other students will feel. So there was a lot of hesitation in raising their queries. Especially when my school is concerned, we have students from rural backgrounds. So many students were not having proper access to the remote learning essentials. There was a network, sometimes unavailability. There was a lot of power cut in their areas. Even there was a lot of, if the child is attending from home, there may be some disturbance, some kind of family disturbance. If somebody is there at home, there can be some kind of background noise due to which they were not able to get the contents correctly. One more reason what I feel is there were some portions which were deleted by our central board. And that was done keeping in mind the coverage of syllabus in various schools throughout the country. So like, for example, I can name few topics like areas of parallelograms from grade 9 that was deleted. A part of inequalities was there. Basically, I teach grade up to grade 10, so I'll talk about that level. So inequalities were deleted. So that had some effect when they came to grade 10. Like in grade 10, we have the basic proportionality theorem to prove. And in proving basic proportionality theorem, we need the concept of areas of parallelogram. So to some extent, ignoring the deleted portions completely also had some effect on the gap that was created in the content coverage. Then we also feel that the students were very reluctant in writing the steps, particularly in word problems or the geometrical questions where there was a lot of proving, where we have to write given, construction, and so many things. So they were very reluctant in writing those. They might not be taking notes when the class discussions were going on. Also, one aspect is that the assessments were through online modes. So online in assessment through online modes, we had MCQs, then we had short answers. Even if they were asked to write their answers and send it through PDF, so they were not that reliable. So the lack of writing skills is also one reason that had affected their overall studies. They had a ready-made calculator in hand. So while doing any kind of calculation, let's say taking square roots or anything, they were using calculators. So lack of numerical operational skills is also a matter of concern, a challenge that we face. Obviously, we all will agree as teachers that group discussions and group activities, peer communication and interaction has a very important role in the overall development of a child. So that acts as a building block, building bonds, and builds a mutual understanding and a rapport, both with teacher and student, as well as student with a student. So that was something which was missing, and that we are facing the after effects. The atmosphere that led to building bonds, lack of sharing and feeling of oneness, because if they work together, they have a sense of respect for each other, because we are also facing some sort of indiscipline issues. Not only indiscipline issues, the loss of routine has also affected in, if they are asked to stand in the assembly, let's say for 15 to 20 minutes, they find it difficult to stand over there. So that's also one reason. Also, the group activities give them the first-hand learning experience, which was missing. And disappearing classrooms led to disappearing dialogues. So since the classrooms were missing, there were the face-to-face dialogues was also something which was missing. Attachment to mobile phones has also become a very important aspect. Though we as residential schools, so we don't allow mobile phones. But yes, this is a problem, because I have many colleagues in other schools, and they share this, that the students are attached a lot to their mobile phones. There are various reasons. The mobile phone was actually a necessity during online classes. So playing games rather than going for outdoor games, they used to spend their leisure time. That was the only source, only mode of recreation to them, whether it be for watching YouTube for the purpose of learning or for their entertainment purpose. But that was the only thing. Whenever they find time, you are free, okay, what to do? Take a phone and work on it. So chatting with friends, as there was no interaction, no face-to-face interaction. And one more thing very important was that the usage was not time bound. Even if suppose the parents were there who used to make a time slot, no, okay, after studies you can use for this many 15-20 minutes or half an hour or so, then that would also help. So usage was not time bound, because we need to use things mindfully and very properly. The same knife can cut a lady finger as well as a lady's finger. It depends how mindfully and how properly you are using that particular tool. So attachment to phones is also one of the major reasons which is affecting the growth of students right now. The last reason what I feel is trauma. There were situations where we have lost our near and dear ones. There may be a financial crisis at home. There may be some sort of financial instability at home, or there may be any other physical or mental stress that the child is having in his mind. So these were various reasons or challenges that we face. We have to keep a check now. Once we resume back to our offline mode of teaching, we can keep a check while they are performing any activities, or while we are teaching in the classroom. We can keep a check how they are behaving. Are they behaving appropriately with their peers? Are they checking the tasks that are assigned to them in a positive manner? If suppose an assignment is given, if they are, in case they are not able to complete that, how they are reacting to that situation. So whether they are able to create a proper physical and mental balance, whether they are able to cope up with stressful situations, how well they are adapting to the new routines, to the expectations and the responsibilities that is assigned to them. Are they believing in their own ability, or they are shy or hesitant, or they are not believing that they will be able to perform well due to any reason. I have examples in my students. And are they exhibiting a mature social skills? So if we keep a check on them and we find anything alarming, then we can always counsel the students. We can have an empathetic word with the students, and if need be, we can refer to the specialists. Few steps that are suggestive to cope up with the situation. First of all, obviously the health is the prime concern, because we had students, now they have to sit for long hours in the same posture, and earlier there was a total shutdown. So now they are to a new routine. So are they able to cope up with that, or they have some issues, maybe backache or some other ailment? So that should be the prime concern. We can identify the prerequisite skills that we need to remediate. Now, even prerequisite skills, we need not remediate each and every prerequisite skill. What I feel, there are certain skills which are very much connected to the next grade level. Actually, maths, I believe that maths is a subject which is cumulative in nature as compared to its other counterparts. In other subjects, we can, a child has a benefit of just grasping or preparing the content which is only of that grade level. But in mathematics, there are many topics that are connected to each other. So wherever the prerequisite skill is a must, we need to address them first. I'll just give one small example. In grade 7, we have a lesson on congruency of triangles. And in grade 9, we again have a lesson on congruency of triangles, which is almost a repetition. But in grade 10, we have similarity of triangles. So if there was a gap in congruency to a child of grade 7, so when he comes to grade 9, that will again be addressed, because we have the same concept once again. But for a student of grade 9 who has not done congruency and he comes to grade 10, then he will face a lot of challenges and issues when he will be studying similarity of triangles, because both are on comparison of triangles. They are very much connected to each other. So it's not necessary to address every pre-grade skill, but yes, we need to identify the required skills which are a must for the next grade level instructions. The 4 C's of 21st century skills, that is collaboration, communication, critical thinking, and creativity, should be incorporated in our lesson transactions. We can have a lot of group activities. Even we can have one-to-one activity where we can ask a student to, if he has understood the concept well, he can share it with other students. I have also done this with my students, that I take a child of grade 10 to grade 9. We have mensuration in grade 10 as well as grade 9. So a child who has done mensuration in grade 10 can go to grade 9 and demonstrate that spheres, like then cuboids and cubes and those things, he can demonstrate over there. So that way he collaborates, he also communicates, he also thinks creatively how we can make others understand the same concept. Obviously, we as teachers have to update ourselves with the ongoing teaching professional developments, especially in the field of technology. That is a must. We need to talk to children, their family members, and other stakeholders to understand if the child is facing any problem at any point of time. Were there any traumatic situations when he was there at home? So we need to have a one-to-one dialogue with them. So if possible, we should try our best to offer our time to the students to have one-on-one interaction with them. We can also integrate mathematics with other subjects. Most of us are doing, school level teachers are already doing that. And because our central board has also initiated that. So we can integrate mathematics with sciences, social sciences, sports, as well as arts. We have many topics in sciences, like graphing. We can also integrate ratio, proportions, percentages with that. Social sciences, we have a solar system. So we can ask students to make models of different planets of solar system, choosing an appropriate scale. So that will give them a sight of scaling. Then we can also, if there are elections, we can ask the students to prepare a comparative graphical representation of the results of different political parties. So there are many ways to integrate. Obviously, arts, we can design different activities, different models through which we can integrate mathematics with arts. Role of digital technology as we resume our offline classes. Nowadays, technology has brought a lot of changes in our conventional system of teaching, especially for rural areas, because this is something through which they are able to compete with the city schools. Many rural schools in the rural areas also have smart classes now. So that is one tool that we can use. We can use the platform of online quizzes. I will not name anyone over here, but we have many online quizzes available that can be used. We can use our already made presentations, because during the pandemic, during the duration of around 2 years, we have made the PowerPoint presentation for almost all the lessons, all the topics. We can use them. We can use the students' own videos performing some activity, doing some sort of project work that can be done. There are various online tools which helps us to diagnose the students' strengths and the gray areas. So if we use those tools, we can diagnose the gray areas of the students and design the appropriate activity for them, or we can, if not activity, the appropriate measure to make the child understand the concept well. Thank you, everyone. That was all from my side. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you very much, Shashwat Tewari. So it was a very nice presentation. I'm sure many of the audience will have good comments, and will add things to it. So it was really, really very, thought-provoking and good presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
So next, I request Dr. Priyambada Tripathi. So she is from Dyal Singh College, Dyal University. So I would like her to present her opinions and experiences. Yes, Dr. Tripathi.
Yeah, am I audible, sir?
Yeah, sure.
Good morning, everyone. So in order to know about the experiences of other teachers and students regarding this topic, I conducted a small survey. So I would like to present my survey analysis. Just wait a minute. Is it visible?
Yeah, perfect.
Yes. Okay. It's automatically moving. Next slide. Just 1 minute. Okay. So the topic is recovery and resumption of mathematics learning in a post-pandemic classroom. This is a case study. So this aims to study the impact of pandemic on mathematics learning and teaching by means of a survey conducted amongst Indian undergraduate, masters, and few PhD students and teachers. So basically, this survey included overall 121 undergraduate and so on students from various prestigious Indian institutions, and most of them have spent 3 to 4 semesters in online mode. So let us see what are the challenges faced by a student. So the very first challenge in the beginning stage of the online classes was lack of mobile phones, laptops, electricity problems. So basically, as per my personal experience, I got complaint from the students like no network zone area like Kashmir state and other states like very rural area from UP, Bihar and some southeast states also. So I used to deal with this problem by making personal phone calls to students, and I used to send them emails, all the study material I used to mail by weekly basis, and I used to deal with this problem by calling them on Sunday to Sunday. So they were not able to attend at all, and they like first semester was gone completely blank for them. They did not attend any online classes. So this was the biggest issue in the beginning of online mode. Now after getting onto track for the network issue and all, then second problem was that network issue from both sides, face-to-face interaction with teachers and classmates, less consistency and discipline. Obviously eye strain after spending such a long screen time. There is a loss of confidence, self-confidence, concept clarity was difficult due to less interaction with teachers. And the third point is that there were a lot of study materials that left students confused and tiresome. So this is a very much obvious thing because students had so many materials available online on YouTubes and Google everywhere. They did not know what to study and what not to study. They also faced challenges in understanding the cumbersome proofs of the theorem, and their physical health also affected. Obviously, the loss of they have also lost the ability of problem solving to some extent. So problem solving practice has also reduced in the online mode. Some participants mentioned that they have got the various distractions while studying at home in online mode because of the various regions. And some also said that due to lack of space in their houses, they could not get a single or private room for online study. That is also very genuine concern. And many of the students have got boredom, laziness, and lethargy. That is very natural. So now I have included this question. How do you rate your confidence level in subject knowledge in online mode on a scale of 10? Basically, I was not aware about this question at all. I did not even know they could have find the loss of confidence level and self-motivation. Once I was taking a tutorial class and then there were only 3 students, then doubts were done, then I started talking informally. Then they revealed that they are feeling the loss of motivation and loss in self-confidence. That's why I put this question in my survey. So earlier they used to think they will pursue their career in higher mathematics, but after spending 3 online semester mode, they really like their motivation and confidence have reduced whether they want to pursue their career in mathematics or not. So they have lost this motivation in pursuing career. Now we can observe that in this bar graph, most of the students have their put confidence level less than or equal to 7 only, and very few students have put their confidence level which is bigger than 8, so which is really a problem. Now next thing, I realized that whether they really need a teacher during online mode, because we don't know whether they are really attending the classes or not. So as you can see that 16.8% of the students have said no, they don't need teacher online. So that is really concerning problem, and 20.6% of the students are not sure whether they really need a teacher or not. The next important question I asked, were you able to communicate with your teacher online? So yeah, we can see that 61.3% of students said to some extent, which is completely negligible. I think they tried, but they could not due to some network issue or something, due to some other problems. They could not interact with the teacher, and few percentage have said no. and only 31.5% of students have said yes. And it was not a problem only undergraduate level, it was a problem at MSc level and PhD level also. Basically in PhD, for PhD students, interaction is very, very important with their supervisor and colleagues. Now, I also feel that because everything is available online, every material is available online. So I also feel that there is a loss of need of books during online mode. So I also put this question for the students. So now, but I'm really happy to see the response of 75.5 students that they said that they really need the book, but still this is a little bit disappointing. 17.9 have said they don't need book. So now let us see what are the challenges faced by teachers. So network issue, of course, it was a problem. A lack of discussion, time constraint, maintaining students' attention was also a problem. Difficulty in comprehending, explaining the concept, very, very less response from the students. And that causes the low teaching satisfaction. And of course, strain to the eyes, it was from both sides. The grade obtained in online exams not reflected to the level of students. This was also one of the main concern. Attendance and attentiveness of the students was also not, we were not able to make them attend classes, and we are not able to make them attentive in the class. Difficulty in understanding the challenges faced by student individually. Encouraging a student to study and also to make them attend to classes, because attendance was not compulsory in online mode. And now one of the biggest challenges during online mode was that assessment challenge. The personal growth of a student got hindered as the assignment and test are to be submitted online and thus can be easily copied or discussed. So now let us see what are the difficulties after coming back to offline mode. So most of the teachers did not find any difficulty for themselves. They got comfortable within a week, while few said that they have lost the habit of writing and teaching on board and got tired. That is also my personal experience. But the importance of classes, of offline classes, learning and teaching made them active within 2 to 3 weeks. Now, what are the difficulties faced by students after coming back to offline mode? Questions, topics which include previous topics taught in the online mode are now difficult to understand. The loss of sitting capacity, which is also one of the big problem for a student. The habit of sitting and folding legs was top-notch things, obviously. Lack of writing skill, lack of concentration. During discussion and class performance, the student experienced a sudden loss of confidence. The performance in the exam is terribly low as compared to the online exam. So sudden adaptation of giving offline exams after being online was really a task. And they also found difficulty in speaking out, interacting. And then also mentioned that traveling to college, to and from college is also exhausting. So now let us see what are the efforts made by students in order to recover and resume their offline classes. So they started communicating with teachers and being regular in the classes. They have put a lot more hard work. They tried to be attentive in the classes. And also they took help of YouTube and online video lectures for a better understanding of the concept. They tried to avoid distraction, uplifting the concentration level, reducing screen time, using the rest of the time to do something productive. They also maintained a constructive timetable throughout the day, stepping back to recenter the mind. They also started reading books from library, keeping the previous semester notes handy for a reference while learning new topics, trying to sit for 45 minutes with a 15-minute break. This is really something encouraging for me. They trying for sitting. Now let us see what are the efforts made by teachers in order to recover and resume the offline classes. So they tried to give special attention to individual students. They tried to discuss more and more, tried to spot the weaknesses and convince them to do more work. They also resumed writing and reading speed, which really got paused during COVID. Now I would like to share my personal view on how I dealt with recovery and resumption after coming back to offline mode. So basically, first point is one-to-one interaction, which is really, yes, which is really one of the most important part of offline classes, which was lost during online classes. And second is that helping a student to reconnect with and recall the previous semester topic. That is the biggest problem, how to fill the gap between online and offline classes. So filling the gap between these two, that requires definitely extra effort, time and energy, but it is really completely worth it. Now, at my personal level, I really felt the assessment challenge. So what I did for in order to deal with this assessment challenge, first of all, when they came in the first semester after reopening the colleges, I conducted an open book class test without grading anything. Like I told them, you will not be graded, don't worry about it all, just write your test. So I took one test without any grading as a practice test in order to recover their confidence and writing skill. Now, when I took the second class test, they were given comparatively easy exercise problem that uplifted their confidence to some extent. Now, when I took the last test, that I gave some good stock of problems with more options, just like they have to attempt like 3 problems three. When I give 5, then they have to attempt only 3, 3 from 6, and so on. I also give the extra time for the writing the test, like 15-minute extra time. So it has been observed that with this strategy of my taking internal assessment, 70 to 80% of students resumed offline structure at the end of second semester of their course. So overall, I can say that it took almost 2 semesters of study to resume offline mode. So they started from the first semester of their study after coming back to offline mode, and with the end of second semester, most of the students got back to an offline structure again. Now the last thing is I did career counseling. Basically, I keep doing career counseling at a personal level via phone calls or face-to-face interaction in order to restore the enthusiasm for pursuing their career in mathematics that was lost during online mode. As I mentioned already, that while interacting with students, I got to know they have lost the motivation in pursuing career in mathematics. So after getting back to the offline classes, I interacted with each and every student at my personal level individually, and I motivated them. And this really works, even though it was in my routine already before pandemic, but it has increased enormously post-pandemic. Now, what are the survey findings? So here is I listed out all the survey findings, including my experience also. So most of the teacher and students prefer online mode, while a few of them also suggested adopting hybrid mode in order to enhance the learning skill and mathematics. Second point is online computer programming classes were better because the theory teacher could explain things well by using computers. The subject where animation, etc. are available online, like geometry, are good in online mode. So I would like to mention that in our syllabus, at undergraduate level, there are papers, there are practical labs like LaTeX and HTML, CAS computer algebra systems, in which we have to teach Mathematica, MATLAB, and Maxima, all these softwares, and R softwares, and Python also, and so many things. So all these papers must be we must follow the online mode, because it is not wise to write all this program on the board. Okay, the third point is digital technology like smart boards in the classroom. Classroom must be there in order to visualize the topics. These things can be adopted in offline mode, which was actually helpful during online classes. Students were also able to track performance by taking weekly online MCQ tests, which we used to give during online in order to check their assessment and all. So I think this can also be adopted, and they were really happy, and they were really able to track their performance by taking this test and by working through shared material during the online mode. So this also we can adopt. Thank you. Thank you, sir, for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you very much, Dr. Priyambada. Yeah, it was a very nice presentation. And I mean, as I know that this exercise you have done, I mean, after that I talked to you, right?
Yes.
So yes. I'm very thankful that you have taken so much trouble, and of course it gives us a lot of insight to the entire problem. Thank you very much. Next, I would like to call upon Dr. Arundhati Rao Mech. So she is a senior teacher in a college in Assam. It is Birjhora Mahavidyalaya, Bangaigaon, Assam. So I'd like to call upon her to express herself.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. I convey my thanks to Baba Sharma for asking me to share my thoughts in this conference. And the first thing that I have understood after hearing all the speakers, that there is a lot of common area, whether it is a school student, whether it is a college student, or whether it is it's a university student. So the problems are there are common problems that we have faced. And so before I would like to share what I'm doing in the post COVID situation, I would like to go back, like other speakers, to the COVID. The first thing that happened when we got into the COVID situation, not post-COVID. So first, obviously, there was panic and then concern about health. But after some time, when we saw that this not doing anything, when the government saw that they were not doing anything, only led to mental depression among the students, and it was time to go back, in spite of the challenges faced by the pandemic, that it was time to go back to study, and that was the only access to learning was remote learning. And because it was the only alternative, there was no other alternative. And I would say the first thing about remote learning, the good thing that we did, that it was a learning experience not only for the students but also for the teachers, that we had to learn up, we had to cope with ourselves to learn up many technological skills. So, and one thing that I've understood post-COVID is that technology is here to stay. We cannot totally do away with it. Now, having said it, whatever the technology classes were there were certain disadvantages also. One is that it also depended upon the institution. It depended upon the institution about the social environment of the institution and about the type of students who were studying. So I come from a basically small town college where most of our students come from rural areas, and during the COVID time, they had gone back to their homes. So obviously, and there was not, I know many top grade institutions, they had a very rigorous routine. They had a very rigorous routine of online classes, and they coped within, I think, 1 or 2 months, they coped with it and they were doing very well. But for us, it was not the same. For one thing, as everybody said, that everybody, other speakers have also spoken, that so everybody did not have a smartphone. And then even if you managed to have a smartphone, there were network issues. One network issue happened right now with me. And so that type of a thing is very common in rural areas. And even if there were network issues, we got the network also, the students has problem with their data. So all the time we could not see, all the time we could not see them or on the screen. So to save the data for all classes, they switched off their audio and they switched off their video. And of course, there was the ill health conditions also to contend with. But having said that, all these genuine conditions, there was also a type of laxity among the students, because as you know, there were so many jokes going on in the social media about online classes, and a lot of it was also true, because I tried to get the attendance, from them by saying I will take the attendance towards the end of the classes. But then when I used to call out a student in the middle of the classes, he was not there. He timed his presence so that he would come towards the last 10 minutes or 5 minutes. And the best excuse they had, no network, madam. So these were, in fact, I think it was voted the most common excuse during that time. So having said all that, we come now to the assessment. So the assessment was also done not under rigorous conditions. As I said, for many top grade institutions, even when the students were writing out their exams, they had to switch on the webcam and things like that. But for the university under which I work, the students had to write down their papers. The question paper was online. They had to write it down. There was nobody sort of having a guard on them. And I would like to say, at that point, the ethics did not come into question. The students did not think whether it was right or whether it was wrong to, to look at each other. Maybe 2 or 3 of them were sitting together and they were giving the same answers and whatever it is. But the problem with that type of doing that type of an assessment is reflected now after COVID, because the students as such do not understand that this is not the way that we sit for exam. I am not blaming them, because even as Priyambada recently said, even the marks that they have got do not reflect the way that they have studied. The marks were also some sort of a common grade. So that one problem that we will be facing now is that they have to sit for offline examinations. And so the first, and then coming back to post-COVID classroom, as everybody else said, the first problem that we are facing is concentration. They do not know how to sit properly. They have got out of the habit of writing. They have got out of the habit of reading also. And so what is it that we are doing at our level? First of all, as everybody has said, mathematics is very, very much dependent upon prior knowledge. So even without the COVID, there is a strategy, a good learning on teaching strategy for mathematics is that they have to imbibe the prerequisite skills. So this is what we have been trying to give them much before the semester starts. And the first class that we usually take is an assessment of the prerequisite skills. Now, having said that, it is not easy, because only a few children will really read that and will make an effort of reading the prerequisite skills or get understanding. So the point is that is only the first step. And then next, what we are doing is that instead of starting the course, we again devote 2 or 3 classes to teaching the prerequisites. Now, this we cannot, as somebody else has also said, we cannot teach them all the prerequisite skills because we will not have that time. We do not have that much time. So one alternative way that we have got, and as I said, there are very, very good sites, online sites. We ask them to go there and learn those things. Then as usual, we give them access. That is what we are saying. We give them access to standard online classes. And we say you can go there and you can pick up these skills. So it is a question of balancing. It is a question of balancing, taking in consideration that there will be highly motivated students, very few, and most of them, we need to give them the nudge. We have to keep on nudging them. Though in the first class, because my students are undergraduate students, I would like to say that y'all are young adults. Y'all are not children. So you have to understand the difference between duty and responsibility. You have to take the responsibility of studying. But okay, that I have said that. But post-pandemic, I have to treat them as children also. I give them a essence of what I require from them, but at the same time, I also understand that they have come out from not doing the class 10, not doing the class 12. As you said, there are huge gaps in their knowledge. So one thing I say is that, have you What about your school books? What about your school books? If you have not given away your if you have given away your school books, then please get them back. Because you need to spend 1 hour reading, right, mathematics, right from class 9, 10, 11, and 12, if you need to understand what college level mathematics is all about. And so that is one thing we do. And the other thing is that I say that no taking notes in my class, because it is not important, because they just come and take notes. But when they are taking notes, they are not minding what the teacher is saying. So I feel it works for me, because I do not let them take notes, but after I finish my topic, I give them the note afterwards. Like after the whole unit is finished, of course the textbook is given to them, and then I give them the notes. But while teaching something, I do not allow them to take notes. The other thing is that I encourage questions, as every teacher also does. But as all of you have understood, the post-COVID is that they have lost confidence. They do not want to answer questions. They do not want to interact. So that is one thing that I am working very hard at. So again, I have to be very, very informal, and I usually ask them, why is it that you do not want to answer? And I take time to understand. Suppose I ask the question and I say, okay, you will make a mistake. That is not important, but why don't you want to answer? So in most of the cases, I have seen that maybe 1 or 2 people have hesitancy because of the language problem. They come from what you call vernacular medium schools, and they may be feeling a little bit hesitant to speak in English. But most of them, they say that Baido hahibo, beleke hahibo, which translated means others will laugh at you. So then I say, okay, so others are laughing at you, then what? So for a long time they sit and they understand nothing. I mean, is the sun going to rise in the west if others laugh at you? So then they understand, and it sort of gives them a laugh. And then I say, please, and this is another thing I have to thank Bhaba Sharma for, because in MTTS classes, I have heard that you say making mistakes is my birthright. So I tell them about that. So you can make mistakes, but you have to make the effort. So the other thing that we have to do is, the other strategy that I'm doing is, we are doing frequent assessments. That assignments and assessments, whether in terms of group discussions, whether in terms of class tests, and whether in terms of assignments. But it is not enough. It is not enough. And I know it is asking a lot from a teacher, maybe not in the school level, because in a school level, these are matter of routine. But for college, people, most of us, I should not say to, it is not all that necessary to, correct the assignment and give it back. But it is very, very, very important. And not only to correct it, to give the personal remark and, discuss the corrections. So what I would like to say is that another type of test that I do is, because of during the COVID that they assessed while copying, by looking, and they did not realize the ethics of it. I give them a type of a test which I ask them to do at home, and I call it self-evaluation. I tell no internal marks will be given for it, and only those of you will sincerely do it on your own. Only those of you give that, because I don't want to waste my time correcting. If you all have seen the answer, or you've copied for somebody, and I will not even back that test. So if I have a class of maybe 30 students, maybe I have about 15 people who do those type of what you call self-evaluation test, where I trust them to work on their own. So that will work. That works for some of them. So, so the other thing that I say that I think from what I've heard, for all the others who are talking, is that we teachers, if we want to make an effort, if we want to make some effective for them, if we want to make mathematics effective for them, if we want to have some role in their development, then all of us have to go beyond just teaching. I think all of us need to be mentors also. And that is important. About as you all have said about the mental health and the food, yes, and exercises.
Yeah, I think we have lost the connection.
Okay.
Yeah. So have you concluded? Yes.
So, okay, if I have lost the connection, that can you hear me?
Yeah.
Can you hear me? So all I would like to say, I think the best strategy is, it is not easy, is to give more than our job. We have to give
that
more,
we heard, yes.
Then it is not just a job, because we are making a difference. And so for all the teachers out there, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah. So, okay. So we'll go to the last speaker, Dr. Shouvik Bhattacharjee. So he is from Tripura University. So he usually, ordinarily he is a PG teacher, but also probably he has some experience of undergraduate teaching. Yeah. Dr. Bhattacharjee.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. Am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So first of all, I would like to thank the organizing team of the 4th annual conference of the Mathematics Teachers Association India for giving me this opportunity, and particularly to Professor Bhaba sir. So giving me opportunity to speak on this occasion, to vent my views, what I have on the recovery and resumption of mathematics learning in a post-pandemic classroom. So at the very beginning, the topic itself, having the word post-pandemic, it's given a good feeling that we are hopefully nearing end to this COVID-19 pandemic, and we are returning back to our preferred face-to-face classroom teaching. And as it has been beautifully elaborated by the previous speakers, the different problems, challenges that were faced during the pandemic by the students mostly, and also the teachers, and the challenges that's also creeping up after the resumption of classes. I am not going to the challenges or problems during the pandemic. I am going to its aftermath now that the classes are resumed. What I have personally faced, this is my views. Some problems, challenges I will share. Something I have tried, and there will be some questions for this forum to discuss, or to MTA to address, maybe from my end, which I till now cannot find out. So first of all,
so can you use slideshow? Just click
I have given
slideshow at the top. Slideshow at the top. Top of your screen.
At the top of your screen, there is share.
Home, insert, design, animation, slideshow.
No, I have given slideshow. It is in my computer. It is coming to slideshow.
Oh, okay. Anyway, carry on. Inshallah.
It is not visible from your end.
Shouvik,
yeah,
at the bottom right, there are these 3 icons. If you choose the rightmost one, you'll get the full screen slideshow. Right now, it's showing the side tab also. Bottom right, where that 68% is, just next to it.
No, I have given that one in my screen. No. It is full. It is the full screen.
You can do one thing that I also did. You just stop sharing now and then go to share screen and then select the PowerPoint presentation. That will be the option there. Don't select this slide, so that PowerPoint presentation. It will be, I think, full screen then. Just try this once.
Yeah, and that's a good suggestion. Instead of share screen, just share only the PowerPoint window.
They have done that only, I think. So, I don't know what is the problem. So
Yeah, quickly go to share screen, click it, and then use PowerPoint presentation.
PowerPoint, yes, the PowerPoint is given.
Yeah. Okay, carry on. It's all right.
Now it's visible.
Yeah, it is all right. Please carry on. Let's not waste.
So now the first challenge that others also mentioned is the learning loss and how to recover from that. And undoubtedly, the closure of the education institutions due to COVID-19 pandemic has led to substantial learning losses, and we have to find out the ways to recover. And the first and foremost thing that we should do is to assess, assess the learning loss, actually what learning loss they have suffered, particularly for some fundamental core topics. And what I suggest we can do, and I have also tried in a small scale, is that we can make an assessment done through a questionnaire having some basic questions from fundamental topics from the previous classes that we expect the students to have in the current class or current whatever they're reading. Maybe I am talking about university level. So we can have some questions from that. And now that pandemic, to cope with the pandemic, we have also tried different means at online teaching. We are quite accustomed. We know different means, so we can use that also. The learnings from the pandemic we can use here. We can use Google form or Microsoft form, something like that, to make this questionnaire in MCQ format for the assessment. And one thing that I think we should ensure that we should motivate the student to answer these questions honestly. And I think we should keep a option of I don't know also. But if you don't know, they don't make wild guesses. We have to make them feel that this is not only important for them, for us
Yeah,
to.
excuse me, Shouvik.
Yeah.
Yeah. So can you, can you don't use full screen? Just
Okay.
Go to this and go to different slides because slides are not moving. Yeah. Use
Okay.
this way. Yeah.
Okay. As I'm taking this questions, MCQ questions, we have to encourage the students to answer it honestly so that they can evaluate themselves. It is also important for them to evaluate where they stand, and also it is important for us to see where they stand so that we can plan our assessment. And also we should assure them that there will be no impact of this on their grades, because in the present scenario, we have too much emphasis on grades, so student should be assured that there is no emphasis on grades so that they freely answer this. And then based on that, we can gauge the areas where we need to rectify more, where more students having problem, and we can have some orientation program like that for about a week in the beginning to deal with that as far as we can, to deal with those topics, to revise the topics as far as we can. And as the entire process, firstly, the students are they have a learning gap already. They will to follow the class, they will take a little time. We have to go a little slow, and due to this, if you plan an orientation program and other things to meet up with this, if it's possible, it will be possible for us being autonomous institution. Others, it may not be possible, but if we can rationally reduce the syllabus a bit, so that the time will allow us to properly nurture the students as far as their need and complete the syllabus also, that will be useful. That's my viewpoints on the challenge number one. Then the second challenge that I feel is the effect on the learning capability I found. And one of the area of concern is the unable to keep the attention and focus on the lectures for a long time. And also another indicator they have seen is the many students who have found that they are regular in their classes, they are attentive, they're serious, try to listen, at least try to be attentive. But the answer script, I don't find them doing well. So they also, and I inquired, they are also in a fix what is happening, and this is in contrary to what is happening in the previous years. So same kind of students. So I think there is a loss in learning capability also, and the primary challenge should be to identify that loss in learning capability. How to identify it? For learning loss, as I can figure out, we can make some questionnaire to have some idea. But for this one, this is a question for the forum to discuss to how to assess the effect of loss in the learning capability of the students due to the pandemic, so that we can address the issue. As far as the first one, the attention is concerned, one of the strategy that I think we can do, in 1 or 2 years earlier, I think there is a survey in the US where on the school students, where they found out that the students can now focus on the lectures for at most 10 minutes. After 10 minutes, their attention goes haywire. And this mostly due to mobiles and other things, whatever may be. And now due to online education, students are also more attached to mobile. So this is also affecting here. So I think if we can plan the lecture in such a way that after few time, after 10 minutes of giving something to them, like elaborating something, if we can give them some break, not break to loiter, but some constructive breaks or creative breaks where we can give them some problems related to what we have discussed, then they can interact with themselves in small groups. That will also increase the interactions among them, I think. So using the small breaks, they can discuss on these things. And after few minutes, we can, when the problem is more or less done, we can discuss on that also, and then return back to again classroom teaching. So these small breaks in between may help to keep them to keep their focus. For small time, it will be necessary, then the break, and then again. And then there are some things I found that there are some proofs which I generally take say 20-30 minutes to do or more sometimes. So that are solutions to some problems. So that is very difficult now. So if the students are not able to give the attention, after some time they don't keep the track what we are doing, where we start from. So in that we can break I think we can break the problems if possible to smaller coherent parts. We discuss this in parts, giving these creative breaks in between, small, and then join it as a whole and show that this is the proof we got by joining this part. That may help. So we have to do some background work for this. We have to take the pain to do this, and we have to do to come out of this. And another experiment that I have done in this regard, that for some long proofs, selected topics, I have given a time to the students. It is not mandatory, but they can come in a Google Meet where I will explain the proof and record this. On the recording, they can come and attend. And then after that, I share that link in the group, in the Google Classroom group we have. And then the students can go through it thoroughly. They are given the time to go through it thoroughly, but it doesn't end here. I am not in favor of doing a thing entirely online. It can be a good supplement. Online can be a good supplement to our offline teaching. So again, after 2 or 3 days, giving them time in the class, they have to discuss this again among themselves, ask me whatever doubts they have from there. And I also ask them questions to check their understanding. So in this way, I try to do, and more or less, I've got a good response from the students. So I think this can also be done in some cases. Then another challenge that already mentioned by my earlier speakers, that the effect on writing ability. And this primary came to my notice after the examination, when I evaluating the answer script. As you see, many students had written the proof, right to written answer, many pages, but it was, the writing skill was very bad compared to other previous batches. In general, mathematics, writing the proof properly, we find that students find it difficult, but it was more bad than worse than the previous batches, I find. So one reason I think that, as the Arundhati ma'am also said, the students in our, generally the students from colleges come to us, and in the colleges, students come from a school which are vernacular background, then they are coming to where they are taught in English medium. So due to online education, the lack of that teachings in the classroom teachings may have hampered to cope up with the English medium, and so they are finding difficulty to write. So that one thing also we need to address, maybe by giving some writing assignments, in some we can devote some extra hours for that to make them cope up with that also. This is a very important thing I feel it should be done. And last challenge I point out is ensuring equitable access. Now, during the online mode, as all we agree and everyone can realize and acknowledge that there is a big inequity. For different reasons, someone don't have access to mobiles, or if they have, there is only one mobile for 3 or 4% in the family. There is network issues and many things, and we are ready to acknowledge. Now, but when we are coming back to the classroom, traditional classroom learning, we should keep in mind that we are sitting in the same classroom, maybe meeting in the same bench, does not ensure equity in learning. And that also pointed out by Professor Deborah Lowenberg-Ball yesterday. That is an important thing we should keep in mind to ensure equitable access for learning to everyone. But given our constraints, there are many students in the large number of students in the class, there are infrastructural constraints. So within that constraint, how can we do it in the best possible way? That we have to think about and act on that. So this is another question that I am leaving for the forum to discuss. And lastly, to end, I think that the life is not obviously a bed of roses. We do have many hard situation, adversities coming to us, but if we keep on fighting, eventually the situation ends, we emerge out it, and we emerge out as a stronger and better person. And we feel that this too will happen this time, not only with us as a person, but this teaching learning process. I think the learnings that we have, or what we have tried to adopt during the online education, will only in the long run make this teaching learning process a stronger and a better one. So thank you everyone.
Thank you, Dr. Shouvik Bhattacharjee. Yeah, so I thank each of the panelists. Your presentations are really stimulating, and really I feel that, I mean, you have represented well the entire spectrum of these teachers at different levels from different geographical background. Would like to go for some of the comments that has been given in the chat box. But before that, prior to that, I would like the co-chair of this session, Professor Habib, to underline a few things and give some of his, ideas and wisdom, whatever, he feels to convey to the audience. So not just merely underlining the, what is being spoken, also his wisdom. Yeah, over to Amber.
I'll keep my comments short because we are a bit short of time, and I think what people have said in the chat
before this, Jonaki, as we discussed earlier, because there are several comments, and probably, those are also very pertinent. Would like to see them, and maybe, a few of them also may speak. So right. Can you extend the time for another, say, 10-15 minutes?
Yes, of course.
Okay, yeah.
Because our next session is at 3:30.
3:30, yeah.
So we can extend by another 10 or 15 minutes.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. Amber, sorry.
Yeah, I think I would just like to say that, MTA is set up for various purposes. One of them, is to help expose teachers and the community to new developments in mathematics, in pedagogy, and so forth. And that happens especially in the keynote lectures, also in the various workshops. But in these panel discussions, what one really wants to see is, what's happening in our schools and colleges, and sharing of the teacher experiences and the issues they face, and also the strategies that they are coming up with, so that we can learn from each other. So from that viewpoint, this has been really a wonderful session. And again, to what Bhaba said, I would add my own thanks to all the speakers. It's been quite inspiring. And what happens is, as individuals, as you're facing your own students and your own classroom, you may come up with some ideas. You may have some suspicion of what would be good to do. But it's really, you get strength by hearing about what other people have been facing and how they have been going about it. And definitely, personally, I've heard many things today, which I would like to take back to my own classrooms and in dealing with my own students. And in fact, this semester, I have 160 students in one class, all first semester coming back from the pandemic. And I teach a course which is supposed to introduce them to rigorous mathematics. So it's quite a task. And looking at what people have been saying today is giving me many things to try out when I return to my classroom. Coming to some of the things that we are seeing in the chat session, there's already been a bit of a discussion there between one of our participants, Anuradha, and Shashwat, the panelist, on how do you deal with the diversity of students that you have in the classroom from the viewpoint of their strengths of theirs. And there Shashwat has suggested difficulties. And there has been a discussion there, and so I would like everyone to look at that. And one important point, mathematics education is after all part of all education. So as we see what is to be done, the problem we are facing in the math classroom, and especially in school, where the students have other subjects as well. So when we come up with extra activities, we also have to moderate that, because if every subject comes up with extra activities, that's an immense extra strain on the student as well. So as we come up with things to do, we also have to worry about what is the big picture of the overall experience of the student. Geeta Venkatraman had said something about her experiences in AUD. And Geeta, would you like to unmute and say a little bit about that?
Yeah, thanks, Amber. I really like this session. I think also because every one of the speakers had put in so much effort at trying to bring together the issues. One of the things that struck me is that as teachers, for us, this was a small part of our long career in which everything has happened offline, and we are in a very interesting place where we can compare very nicely what kinds of learning happened during offline period versus what has happened during this pandemic. For the students, for many of them, they did not have the luxury in a way, particularly I teach undergrads and I also have PhD students. So I'm just going to speak very quickly about both these. The undergrad students, there was a difference between the batch which had undergone some offline classes in college. So that is the 2020-21 batch where we just switched to online teaching towards their last semester. Interestingly, they did not want a cut in the syllabus. We were offering them all of these things because there was difficulty conducting online classes. We did not have equipment and so on. But our students very clearly said no, they do not want to compromise on the content of the syllabus. They don't want to compromise on the learning. So that was very interesting. With the first batch, so I teach second year students typically. So these are students who had offline classes in the first year. But the second year batch which had come in the next year, by the end of the semester, they did not want to have any kind of assessment which would make them have to learn. So there's this contrast between the lot which had offline. So they wanted take-home assessments and they felt it was their right to get it. okay, that they fought with us, and we said, look, we'll give you extra time. We will teach you extra. We will hold exams for you much later. And eventually we didn't give in. So one student out of the entire class opted for a late exam. When we didn't give in, they all took the exam. And this was not an proctored exam at all, but they had to think. They couldn't get the answers online. They had to think, make an effort to learn. And what we found with that batch is a lot of cheating, not wanting to. So there's a immediate change which has happened, which I found very interesting. And then now the second year batch that I teach had first semester online, and their third semester online, fourth semester offline. And they were blank about what was taught in the previous semester, that they had just not learned. They had somehow taken those exams, somehow got some grades, maybe cleared things, but learning was a big issue. And as someone remarked, it's a continuous process, right? So algebra 2 is dependent on what they've learned in algebra 1. So they found themselves in, a lot of them came up and said, I'm really following what's happening in the class, but I don't know what to do because I don't know the previous material well, and I can't work out things on my own. And interestingly, what they wanted was that the online lectures which had been recorded for the previous batch and the notes, they wanted access to all of that, which we made available. But their confidence has gone down massively. The ability to sit in class and concentrate, and maths, you learn best when you write it. You can't just, listen to something, not work out, not write maths, and then be able to learn it. So they're really facing a huge challenge. Even the bright, talented students are feeling themselves being very unmotivated, and they don't know how they're going to cope. That's the situation we are faced with from the students' point of view.
I think this also answers your question about whether anxiety and levels have increased and confidence levels have gone down. There was an interesting, Priyambada, I wanted to ask you about something in your survey and your thoughts about one of your slides in particular. In general, if one, say before the pandemic had asked students, what are your confidence levels? I'm not sure what they would have said, but one would have assumed that it would be the normal sort of, typical curve where lots in the middle, a few very confident, a few not so confident. And before your survey, I would have assumed that if one was to ask again, then the whole curve would shift in one direction. Everyone would be less confident. But your survey, the results are a bit different in the sense you have two clear groups, right? There's one peak which is a bit high, and there's one peak which is at a pretty low level, right? Your students seem to have split into two types, one who have regained their confidence and one who have lost it.
Yes. Actually, there are a group of students in my college, basically at my personal level. They are really comfortable in online teaching. They don't want to come in the class. So I think because I shared this survey with my student of my college, so most of them, they have rated their confidence bigger than 8, 9 and so on. And they also mentioned that they like online teaching because they coming from they are spending 1 to 2 hours to come in college. So they think they are wasting their timing in traveling and all. So that is the category. Those who are writing their confidence level bigger than 8. So most of the this is an average data. I have seen personally that most of them have really reduced the level of confidence and motivation.
Yeah,
it would be interesting to know if how the confidence levels correlate with how they're actually doing in your class. But anyway, it will take time to find that out. I think as far as questions went, if I missed somebody, feel free to unmute and you can ask.
Yeah, there are several good comments. Yes, I
Yeah.
mean, probably time will not permit us to this. I think everyone has written, like say Mohima Kashyap has written. Yeah, Jayashree Subramanian, she has a suggestion. Maybe it may be to also, because Professor Ramanujam is also here, the survey results by Dr. Priyambada. So on that, she has written that I feel it would be great to publish the results of the surveys, even if not as research paper, at least as report somewhere in the, in some publication.
Yeah, definitely we should make it available from the MTA page for sure.
Yeah.
And then we can also carry a digest in the bulletin. So
that would be very good.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So I think we can conclude, right? This, Amber, you can make the concluding remarks.
Okay, well, I kind of did, but yeah. So I think again, I thank the presenters. Everyone did such a thorough job. It was kind of interesting that there was a certain, I think, unanimity about how they have gone about dealing with things and how they have perceived things, and that's very interesting. And I think as a group we can look into how to sum up what we have heard today and publicize it more and make available to everybody the kind of strategies that we have heard about today for dealing with things. Maybe I can't resist saying one comment about that teachers have to go beyond their jobs to take care of their students. That is, certainly true that we have to take extra steps to take care of our students, but it would be nice if we could also get society to understand that this is what we do. We are not really going beyond our jobs when we do this. This is part of the jobs. We do it all the time. Due to the pandemic, we are having to do even more of it. And when people look at teachers and what we do, whether at school, at college, they should understand that this is something that we are doing on a large scale. These are not exceptions that people are doing this. So anyway, let me bring this to a close now. Please do tune in again for our other programs today, and we have another panel tomorrow, which will look at the policy developments related to education in school and college over the past few years and how they are impacting mathematics education, and also some analysis of how they are likely to impact mathematics education.
Yeah, my last comment that yes, we had a great audience as well, and in fact the comments it was from the comments and suggestions we had in the chat box itself. Yes, thank you very much. I thank all the speakers, panelists, all the audience being here, and I take this opportunity from both of us, the co-chairs, to the organizers for giving us this opportunity to have this panel session. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much. Let's give them a big hand. It's a wonderful panel discussion, I think, and it was so much needed to know what all teachers and students went through in this course of the pandemic and how we should move forward. So after this session, now we have a slightly longer break. The next session is at 3:30 to 5:30. This will focus on mathematics labs. And the third keynote of this conference is going to be from 6 to 7:30. Please do join for these two sessions also. And Jyoti has shared a Google form. So we'll have a cultural program tomorrow in the closing session from 5 to 6 p.m. So we request participants to please share, fill the form. Those who are interested to participate, you can share what you would like to do. This may be a short few minutes, but it would be nice to have your participation. So please note you can copy the Google form. It's on the chat box. And please do fill it and send it within the next couple of hours so that Jyoti can coordinate with you and plan the session for tomorrow. So thank you very much for being here and for such a wonderful and vibrant discussion that took place. We'll meet again at 3:30. May I request Saurabh to tell us that should we rejoin the same link at 3:30?
Yes, Janaki, the same link will work at 3:30
Okay.
also.
So we can log out and rejoin at 3:30, right?
Yes, we will end the meeting here and
Okay.
we'll start at 3:30.
Kindly please note the Google form. I don't want you to lose that. Thank you very much, everyone, for such a wonderful session.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye-bye and see you at 3:30.